Just wanted to give a brief state of the city address and kind of recap where we were last year and some of the exciting plans we have for the year ahead. You know, as I get older, I'm constantly reminded how fast time goes. 2014 was really no exception to that. It seems like it wasn't that long ago when we had an awful lot of new city council members sitting here. I believe it was just a year ago we welcomed John and Dawn onto the council, and then not too long after that, Steve to the city council. It's been great having. You know, I at one time was the first new guy on council in an awfully long time, so it's really been nice having a bunch of new ideas and new energy brought to the council. You know, unfortunately, at the end of March, we experienced another change in council with the unfortunate and untimely passing of Gary Borden. That was certainly a shock to the entire community, because in such a short time he'd become a truly ingrained member of the community and contributed an awful lot. You know, I said at the time, and we worked very hard last year to keep his legacy kind of going with Country Blast and Riverfest and the other events we do, and we're going to continue that tradition. But I would be remiss in recapping last year if I didn't really acknowledge again the contributions that Gary made to helping revitalize the community. We also did accomplish an awful lot working together. And what I call addition by subtraction, we were able to finally get rid of the old Coleman building. And I think that is a true addition to the beautification of the downtown area by subtraction of that old building. We added a bunch of new playground equipment in Hurock Park. We had 2 great Eagle Scout projects done within the city. One, if you know, and you really notice it in the daylight and the sunshine, how nice our playscape out here looks. That was an Eagle Scout project last year, where that entire playscape was stripped, sanded, sealed, and repainted by an Eagle Scout and a dedicated group of volunteers. And second of all, you know, another great Eagle Scout project was done at our animal shelter. There's much improved signage and fencing, and it's really been a marked improvement to the operation of our animal shelter. So we certainly thank the Eagle Scout program and the Boy Scout program for their contributions to our community. I believe we replaced over 300 streetlights in the city with switching from old and very inefficient streetlights to modern LED streetlights, and a program that will pay us back within 2 years and result in significant savings going forward. As the price of LEDs continues to come down, we will continue that program throughout the rest of the city. You know, we were able to conduct what's called a PASER study of all of our roads in town. So every road, every inch of road in town was rated as to its condition. And now we have a prioritized list of road projects that need to be done. Not only the roads that need to be repaved, but the roads that are in a condition where a little bit of maintenance and crack and joint sealing can make a very big difference in their longevity and will save us money in the long term. And we were awarded a SAW grant from the state of Michigan. And that SAW grant will allow us to map and televise the condition of our entire water and sewer infrastructure within Flat Rock and lead us to building an asset management program. I've long said I'd like to get rid of as much 1920s pipe as we're humanly going to be able to afford over the course of the next couple of years. And the SAW grant program will certainly help us prioritize that project. In the next upcoming meetings, we'll be getting a full initial report on a water study that our city engineers have been working on. So again, that will help us build that prioritized list of projects for the next year, which I'll talk more about in a little bit. In addition to great new talent on the city council, we've also seen some great new talent come into the city at the department head level. Just over the last year, we've welcomed a new treasurer, a new economic development director, a new police chief, and a new recreation director. Again, I think we've really added to the talent that serves the citizens of the city. I've been extraordinarily pleased with the folks that we've brought in, and all of whom have made an immediate impact on how we're operating as a city and becoming more efficient. We were able to settle 2 very key labor agreements with our patrol officers union and our firefighters. Those 2 agreements will result in very significant future savings to the city, and I'll talk more about our financial situation in a little bit. But one of the things, for those of you who watch regularly know or had heard me say, is that upon settling of the contract, that would give us the ability to begin to restaff to the levels where we need to restaff to operate the city efficiently. And by settling that patrol contract, that has allowed us to hire 4 brand new police officers who will be on the streets of Flat Rock helping keep us safe. I really wish that they weren't busy, but unfortunately at this time they are pretty busy, and those 4 officers are needed and will be big contributors to the future of our department. We were also finally able to update our patrol car fleet a little bit, so you may notice 2 new Taurus Interceptors and 2 new Explorer police cruisers that are out on the roads too. So we've gone from having one of, or probably the oldest police car fleet in the region to now what's considered an acceptable level. We started a new city Facebook page. If you've not yet liked the City of Flat Rock page, please go and do so. I'm also announcing tonight that we've also started a new Twitter account. So you can follow us. Our Twitter handle is @FlatRockMish. So go ahead and follow us on Twitter, and we will be using both of those vehicles as communication mechanisms out to the city. Also, the Flat Rock Police Department started its own Facebook presence, and I think that's been a valuable tool for communicating with the community. You will notice a dramatic increase in the activity at the Flat Rock Recreation Facebook page. We're both in driving traffic and in the promotion of our programs via that page. So we are, when I came into office, I said my goal was to bring us into the 20th century of technology, and we're there. Now our next step is to get us into the 21st century of technology, and we're working on it, but we are making progress. Part of that too is that we began to accept credit cards, both here at City Hall and online, for a wider variety of city services and fees and permits. That has been a very successful program, and many of our citizens are taking advantage of it. That not only gives our citizens a little bit more flexibility in the way you're able to pay your water bills and those kinds of things, it also does help the city improve its collections and cash flows on a more timely basis. So it's one of those things where it's both a convenience for the residents and also helps the city as well. And I'm very happy that we were able to offer that service. So we had a pretty big 2014. We didn't get done everything I would have liked, but we're trying to move as fast as we possibly can. Now let's talk a little bit about what's in store for this year. As many of you who regularly watch our council meetings know, I've been pretty excited about 2015 for Flat Rock. We are going to be celebrating our 50th anniversary as a city, which is a pretty big milestone for a city like ours, and a pretty exciting milestone as well. It's really been how can I put this? It's been a very exciting time, and it will be an even more exciting time as we continue to move forward. I kind of feel like the first couple of years I was mayor, I was a purveyor of doom and gloom as we faced some very, very serious financial challenges. And kind of stealing from the governors, I'm going to try to really focus this year on the relentless positive action. Just pure out steal his words, but it really is going to be a positive year for the city of Flat Rock. We're going to transform our country blast into more of a summer blast celebration that will kind of broaden that event's appeal to the entire community. As in addition to being the 50th anniversary of us as a city, it's also the 40th anniversary of this building as our city hall. For those who don't know, I understand that the architect who did this building was the same architect who went on to do the Silver Dome. So it may explain the interesting architecture of the building. At the same time, this building is definitely showing its age. You know, obviously building techniques back in the 1970s were a little bit different than modern energy efficient techniques, and the design and architecture of this building don't make it very easy to retrofit or change. We do have plans this year to begin to address some of those infrastructure needs. You know, we're still living on the original boiler in the building. That's got to change, and we're currently designing a new system that will replace the current one. And we need to expand the parking lot in this building. We're working with an architect right now to kind of re-envision the front entrance so that maybe you can walk into the building without ice and snow coming down on you. And as everyone walked by, they watch out for falling ice signs to come into the building tonight. So after 40 years, it's time. These are needed investments and things that we will do. At the same time, we have the opportunity to do some pretty exciting things. I've mentioned before, and we will be putting it in this spring, that I've secured grant money to put in a splash pad out over by the Warman building for our kids to play in. We have the potential to expand our baseball facility through the addition of a press box and new concession stand that will help us monetize those fields to a new level. We also have some very exciting opportunities with this being our 50th anniversary. And I've been talking with an awful lot of folks as to different ways we can kind of commemorate and celebrate this occasion. You know, one of the things I think would be great, and I will be asking the Historical Commission to do, is put together historical Flat Rock displays and have a couple of weekends where you can kind of come to our beautiful, you know, Flat Rock has invested, you know, probably more money than any other community downriver at preserving its heritage. We have a wonderful asset just to the east of City Hall here that really celebrates us as a community and our history. If you've not had a chance or an opportunity to ever go through those buildings, please take the time to do so. It's truly a special place, and you can't help but really get a sense for not only the last 50 years, but maybe the last 150 years here in the Flat Rock area. One of the other innovative ideas that we've come up with that we'd like to do this year is put together a time capsule to be open 50 years from now at our 100th anniversary. I've asked the schools, and I'll be asking many other commissions and citizens in the city to get involved with this project. The idea would be this fall to put the time capsule either in a new cornerstone or someplace where it will be open 50 years from now. If anybody saw in the news recently, this happened in Massachusetts as well, where they literally opened up a time capsule that was put there by Paul Revere and Sam Adams. It's pretty cool stuff. Pretty cool stuff. So, you know, I know most of us will probably not be here 50 years from now when they open that, but I certainly think that's a really fun way to celebrate our first 50 years of history as a city. And, you know, we'll give an interesting look back 50 years from now. So look for details for that coming up. I'm also very excited about some of the new business progress that we're going to be making in 2015. Obviously, Flat Rock has been in the news a lot recently as Ford has celebrated the 50th anniversary edition of their Mustang. We are very proud to be the home of the Ford Mustang, and as I have the opportunity to travel for my full-time employment, it's always cool to be able to say, see that Ford Mustang driving by, that's Flat Rock. That's a little piece of Flat Rock wherever you go in the country. You know, for the first time ever, that Mustang that's built here in Flat Rock is going to be exported all over the world. So not only are you going to be able to go anywhere in the United States and see a little bit of Flat Rock, there aren't too many corners of the earth that you're not going to be able to go to and see a little piece of Flat Rock. That's something neat and unique about our community. And we're obviously very proud here of our automotive heritage. We do have a relationship with Ford that goes back to Henry Ford himself with the gas lamp factory here along the Huron River and what is now Flat Rock Metal. And there was a time not too long ago when we weren't sure if that plant was going to continue to stay open. I am happy to say that that plant is not only going to stay open, it looks very likely that they will be further expanding what's going on at that plant. So hopefully we will continue to see good things. The other major thing that will start happening in the late spring is Meijer will begin building their building. In late December, Meijer received their permit from the Department of Environmental Quality. That was the last permit that they needed to secure before they were to begin their project or continue the building of their project. They obviously began the land clearing last year. So we are excited about Meijer coming to Flat Rock, and as I will share in a minute, we believe it's already having the desired effect of attracting more businesses. Couple popular topics in town that I'm continuously asked about these days is, when is Leo's Coney Island going to open? And the answer is hopefully in the next couple of weeks. They had a little bit of a blip with their contractor during the build-out. I believe that blip has been resolved, and they are very, very close to opening. As much as that's anticipated, I know I probably even get more questions about the Fiesta Grande across the street in the old Pizza Hut. They are getting closer to completing construction. They've been going at probably a slower pace than we all would have liked, or at least those of us who really enjoy Mexican food. And so they have secured their liquor license from the state. They're completing their kitchen build-out over the next couple of weeks. We'll be going through their final inspections, and hopefully by say the end of February, we will be enjoying nachos in the city of Flat Rock. Couple of updates on other businesses. O'Reilly Auto Parts has confirmed to us that they are going to be starting their building in the spring of this year. And in the most, probably one of the longest term projects hanging out there, we're still being told that Burger King is coming to the Marathon Station. I think we were told that, right after I got elected to council. And I've said a couple of times, I'll believe that when I'm eating my first Whopper. But as I say, as long as they don't have an aversion to printing money, that project sure should go forward. We are seeing progress on the Kmart Plaza. Obviously, it's not been nearly fast enough for any of us involved. We do meet very regularly with the owner of that plaza. I will tell you that he has signed with the new real estate brokerage, which seems to be a little bit more aggressive than the ones he's worked with in the past. And we are in active discussions with a couple of different businesses for various pieces of that plaza. So I would anticipate in 2015 us seeing a good amount of progress with the Kmart Plaza. And perhaps one of the most exciting announcements of the evening is we have a new business that has purchased and will be opening in the old Hire Lumber property. I'm very excited for the city of Flat Rock to be able to announce tonight that Calder Dairy has decided to expand facility and retail operation in the old Hire Lumber building. I think, you know, as a family business and family farm, I think that is a tremendous asset to the city of Flat Rock. They are not only a great business, and according to my 8-year-old, who is an authority on the subject, sell the best chocolate milk in the entire world. You know, also are very, very committed to community involvement and community education. Many of you know that my mother is a Detroit public school teacher and regularly takes her classes on field trips out to Calder's. That they consider that not only, you know, just a piece of their business, but very core to their mission, is kind of continuing that tradition of family farming. They are exactly the kind of business that we want in the city of Flat Rock. They will be a great corporate citizen. It also, and I want to acknowledge the efforts of our department heads, particularly Matt, Liz, and Bill. We worked very, very hard on this from the first time we got a phone call saying they were potentially interested. And it's really reflective of how we work with businesses who are interested in the city of Flat Rock. Now, it is a very coordinated effort that brings together all of the departments that need to be involved. And I think as time goes on, and many of you meet Mr. Calder, he will attest to how that process has gone. We've made it very easy. We gave them all the relevant information. You know, as I've long said, you know, businesses don't expect no hurdles to go through approvals and processes. What all businesses want and need is to know what those processes are up front. And then that process to be very consistent. And I think this is an excellent example of how coming together as a team and a community, we were able to both, you know, attract a business to town, and I think they will see their opening go very, very smoothly. So again, I am very, very excited. Hopefully we'll have a opening time frame here in the not too distant future, but I think that is an absolutely great addition to the city of Flat Rock, and I'm very, very excited about it. Talk for a minute about what I call dressing up the place a little bit. One of the things that we've probably been too lax on over the last couple of years are things like ordinance enforcement. And that's been probably a historical issue in Flat Rock. That's something we're going to fix this spring. Through the hiring of ordinance officers, we will begin to address the ordinance enforcement issue that this city has. That's easy to say and sounds good. I also expect that to cause heartburn to some folks who have maybe not always been in compliance with our ordinances. What I can commit to you is that ordinance enforcement will be done consistently and fairly across the board. I don't care who you know, who you're friends with, you'll be treated equally, which is I think what we all want and would all expect. So look for that in the spring. I also want to acknowledge the great work that our Michigan Main Street committees and group have been doing. As you know, about a year and a half, 2 years ago now, we were admitted into a very select group of Michigan Main Street communities at the associate level. Since then, there's been an awful lot of organizing work done around a promotions committee, an organizing committee, and a design committee. You know, I know many people here participated in the visioning session that occurred earlier this year, where really, you know, the community was invited to come out and give input as to, you know, what are our assets in the community? How do we think of ourselves? How should we brand ourselves? That was a very, very successful effort. This year, we'll begin to see some of the outputs of the work that the Main Street group are doing, whether that's some of the streetscape work that will be going on kind of across by the Dairy Queen, which has been chosen as the first area, with the Main Street working with the DDA, to some of the telegraph lighting, and then, you know, kind of a personal pet peeve of mine and a project that I think would go a long way to kind of re-envisioning downtown Flat Rock is doing something about the viaduct. I don't think there's a more dark or, quite frankly, dingy area than passing around that viaduct and under it. It's overgrown with vegetation and dirt, quite frankly, as well as poor lighting. So working with the Main Street Design Committee, we're coming up with a design or a reimagining of what that area could look like. For those of you familiar with the area, if you've ever been down Eureka Street in Wyandotte, as you head towards Biddle, you know, you kind of see what a well, nicely kept modern viaduct could look like. There's no reason why ours can't look similarly. That will not be an overnight process. It will involve an awful lot of coordination between the railroad, the state, the county, and the city. But it's got to start somewhere. And so we will begin that work this year. At very least, we will be ripping out all of that overgrown, ugly landscaping and hopefully replacing it with something nicer. I mentioned earlier, we're also doing an awful lot of work around water and sewers, particularly where waters and sewers also run with streets that need to be redone. One of the projects that we've talked about that will be undertaken this spring and summer, once school gets out, is the replacement of Division Street in front of the old high school. That is a very old sewer. That's a 20s vintage, yeah. A 1920s vintage sewer that is in not very good condition, and obviously that's causing that road to not be in very good condition either. By undertaking a substantial project there, not only will we be able to abandon, I think it's about 3,000 feet of old sewer, but we will also be able to repave that road. So that's a great, what I call a twofer project, where we'll get a road and a sewer out of the same project. Unfortunately, there are a lot of areas where our sewers and water mains don't run under roads, and so we will have to address those as well. In terms of road paving projects, you know, the two first projects are going to be Aspen Boulevard out here between Gibraltar Road and High School Boulevard, and then the Huron Woods subdivision as well. You know, if you have some wood around you, knock on it. If the winter keeps going like it's going, and depending how the bids come back on those projects, my hope is that we're able to include a couple of more projects, either in this budget year or certainly in next budget year, to again continue down that list of road rebuilding. At the same time we're doing roads, you know, one of the things we've not addressed in a long time in this community are sidewalks. You know, there are areas of the city that are in desperate need of sidewalk repair, and there are other areas of the city that never had sidewalks in the first place. As a parent who drops their child off at Bobstein, you know, I still see people walking down, the children walking down the middle of a dirt Seneca to get to school. That is not an ideal situation. I would call that just an unsafe situation. I really think we need to put in a sidewalk along that road. I don't know what the logistics of that are going to be. That's something we're going to have to look at as to what side of the street, but I think that's something we need to do. Huron Woods, with just a little bit of sidewalk, could be connected to the rest of Flat Rock, which it's currently not. And then there are other sidewalk projects connecting Pebblebrook to Gibraltar Road and the bike path, so that everyone who lives in Pebblebrook can get out to the bike path actually on a sidewalk versus the grass, and a couple of other places. You know, we're looking at grant opportunities, and then again, depending on how our road budget, our Act 51 money goes this year, we may be able to fund some of that as well. And then I would also love for us to get back to a regular sidewalk program like we used to have, where systematically we move throughout the city on a 50-50 split basis, replacing some of the sidewalks. I mean, if you see some of the curbs and some of the sidewalks, you're talking about, you know, edges about this tall, which again, you know, as someone who's got young kids who still bike on the sidewalks, that's not a recipe for goodness. So it's something we definitely need to address.
I'm also very, very pleased to announce that Flat Rock this year has been selected to participate in the Detroit Institute of Art Inside Out program. So coming this summer to, I think it's 3 or 4 locations throughout Flat Rock, the Detroit Institute of Art will be placing, exhibits or works of art that will draw people to the city and expose Flat Rock and the surrounding communities to kind of the DIA culture and offerings. So that, look for announcements about that. I believe that's going to begin in August and carry on through the fall. So we're very, very excited to be part of that. We're also very excited to have been named a trail town by the Huron River Watershed Council. We're one of only 5 communities that have been designated an official trail town along the Huron River. And we're in some pretty good company. Other cities like Milford and Ann Arbor and Ypsilanti, and I believe Dexter were the other communities named. What that's going to bring us is an awful lot of planning and resources to help us better utilize the wonderful asset that we have in the Huron River. The Huron River is not just a beautiful natural asset. It's also can be a key economic development driver. We have great fishing. We've always been known as a great fishing spot in the area. We're also a very good kayaking and canoeing spot in the area, both up and down. So you'll see us work on an awful lot of projects funded through grants and other organizations to improve the kayaking and canoeing. We are working very hard to find a solution to improve the portage over the dam at Flat Rock Meadow as well, so that we can take advantage. Ecotourism and those kinds of activities are one of the hottest, fastest growing areas right now. And it's not just about adding recreational offerings. It is about bringing people to your community who will stop at your stores, who will stop at Calder's, who will stop at Simpler Times, who will have dinner at The Rock, have lunch at Michael's, have an ice cream at the Dairy Queen as they're going through the bike path, as they're coming down in their kayak. They're going to be putting in kayak lockers for us along that path so that people can get out, store their kayak, and go enjoy what is downtown Flat Rock. Very exciting developments. We're also exploring, I know I've talked about this before, but it's getting potentially a little bit closer to reality, is the ability to do a bike share program as well, where you would be able to actually rent a bike in downtown Flat Rock and then return it. Something that's very, very popular in larger cities. Like I said, all of these recreational offerings, and if you really think about Flat Rock and what we have and how we're known in the area, we really are, we're the home of the Mustang. We're also kind of the recreational hub of downriver. We have a first-class community center. We're at the central key hub of the Downriver Link Greenways initiative. We're at a beautiful spot for fishing and kayaking and canoeing. We have the best baseball fields anywhere in the area. We have a beautiful playscape, and we have Yurok Park. Those are pretty cool assets for a city like Flat Rock to have. Those are things that not only bring people to live here, they just bring people here. And that's one of our key things that we've identified as we've been going through the Main Street process is, who is Flat Rock? How do we brand Flat Rock? What brings people to Flat Rock? And it's those kind of assets that are many people's introduction to what we have here. You'll also see some initiatives through the Main Street Committee and DDA and TIFA regarding signage around the downtown and other areas, and really help people. And many people who even live here don't really know which way the bike path goes. So signage is certainly needed down there, and something that we would be addressing here in short order. We'll also continue to focus on operational improvements. In this year, you're going to see us take delivery of a new senior bus. Those of you who have heard the stories about our current senior bus leaving its exhaust on I-75 know that we are in need of one. And that, of course, will be paid for by community development block grant funds. And I know is anxiously anticipated by our senior community. We're also going to be taking possession, hopefully this year, calendar year, of a new dump truck and a new ambulance. The ambulance is also sorely needed in this community. And a new street sweeper as well. So we're finally, in a very responsible fashion, being able to address some of the core infrastructure issues that we haven't been able to address to this point. It is exciting to finally be able to talk about some of the positive things that we are able to do, and provide our employees with the equipment that they really need to do their job. And we have done yeoman's work and gone above and beyond keeping equipment and other vehicles running well beyond their useful life. I mean, those of you who've been around a while know that I've made continuous jokes about things being held together with duct tape, and that's not too far from the truth. And the duct tape has run out, and it's time to do these things. We're now in a position, through the prudent financial choices that we've made, to be able to do that. You're going to see a new website and increased marketing for the community center, and specifically the banquet hall. We have a first-class banquet facility. It is not your normal community center banquet or community room. It truly is one of the most beautiful places in Downriver, and has the reputation of being one of the best places to hold a banquet or a wedding reception or event. We need to make sure more people know about it. So you will see us address some of those marketing challenges that we've had. We're also going to be working at increasing our resident memberships and a couple of other operational improvements there that we'll be discussing over time. We will also begin to address the backlog of rental inspections and other inspections through the building department. We implemented that rental program a number of years ago, and through no fault of their own, the building department has yet to complete all of those inspections. We're going to give them the staff and the ability to clear that backlog. Again, those kind of things need to be done in a very clear, consistent, and fair basis, and that's what we will do. We still have several challenges that lie ahead of us. One of the biggest of which is our long-term financial liabilities. While some larger cities around us have gotten most of the publicity about long-term cost of benefits and those kinds of things, we're not immune from those same challenges. Working with the treasurer, we are working on options to see how we can begin to address those long-term challenges. We certainly have our share of funding shortfalls on future retirement and healthcare liabilities that need to be addressed. The sooner you start addressing them, the easier they are to address. So it may be painful now, but waiting any longer is even more painful. I spoke earlier of settling the contracts that we were able to settle this year. Those two new contracts began to address some of those long-term challenges while trying to be as fair as possible to our current employees. The units that have not yet settled their contracts have not been able to go through that process yet. My intention is once we settle those contracts, we will look to add potential staff to those departments. But I am not in a position to recommend doing that until those contracts are settled. It's just not the financially responsible thing to do. And I think what the actions we've taken in the patrol union since that contract has settled have proven that out. We're going to be doing a bunch of little stuff. So we're plumb out of space in this building in terms of storage. We've got more paper than we know what to do with, and no place to put it. One of the things I've asked the clerk to tackle this year is a true records retention initiative. to determining which records we have to keep, how long we have to keep what is currently paper. Because it doesn't make much sense to me to continue to pile paper up in this day and age. There are much less expensive and much easier alternatives to that, let alone the increases you get in searchability and findability when you digitize something versus dusting, records that are 40 years old off. So the clerk will be graciously attacking that project this year. We're also going to be looking into a citizen alert system, which will be an emergency notification system to our residents purely for emergency situations, tornado warnings, those kinds of things. That should happen within the next couple of months. Hopefully we'll be bringing a proposal to council. It's something that we had started working on, and unfortunately the person who was working on that ran into some health issues, so that got derailed for a little bit, but is going to be back on track. Also back on track is our citizen request system, something I talked about last year. And while we were able to procure the software this year, we've not been able to roll it out yet, which will allow any citizen of Flat Rock to go to the website and on a department by department or topic by topic basis, be able to quickly find information or request things from various departments of the city. We've mapped out all of those different possibilities, and now it's just a matter of feeding all of that information into the software. So that will be completed in calendar year 2015 as well. We will continue to support our existing businesses. The DDA has done some great work over the last couple of years with their facade grant program, working to diversify programming. Not only have we done Country Blast and Riverfest, last year we added the Cruisin' Hurock Park Car Show. We've done little events. It's not everything is a big grand event. We do simple events like Chalk the Walk, where people come out and drew and chalk on the sidewalk of Hurock Park. We've run photography classes down in downtown. We have a farmer's market that's small but mighty and coming back, probably even bigger this spring. So we have an awful lot to celebrate as a community, but there is an awful lot of work left to do. We're gonna, and you've heard me say this the last couple meetings, if you notice I covered an awful lot of stuff that we're gonna do tonight. It's a pretty big list, and it's gonna require us to move at a pace that Flat Rock has not always been comfortable at moving. We're not necessarily the most adept community at changing. So that's okay. It's okay. We will work very hard and very diligently. We've got a great team of people in place. We have, through the Main Street and Riverfest committees and other committees that work on behalf of the city, we have a really engaged group of citizens wanting to help. And so if we all work together, we will be able to work through that pace of change. And I've talked to the department heads and many of you that, there are moments in time where events seem to come to a confluence. And I truly believe that 2015 is that confluence of events for the city of Flat Rock. This is our moment. This is our opportunity. And, it's up to us as a community to take advantage of that opportunity. There are a lot of exciting things going on. Of course, there will be naysayers and what I call the negative Nellies. And, we just have to keep in mind that this is a great community. We have a wonderful opportunity ahead of us. It's up to us whether or not we're going to take advantage of it. But I can tell you, as the mayor of the city, as the proud mayor of the city, I will work very, very hard to make sure that we take advantage of that opportunity. So, just in closing, happy 50th birthday to the city of Flat Rock. We'll be celebrating throughout the course of the year. I think great days are ahead for the city of Flat Rock. That is the state of our city